Hello and welcome to Harvesting Hints. This will be the basics of harvesting fruits, vegetables, and herbs, saving your seeds, and storing your bounty. So the joy of harvesting, this is a harvest from my garden just a couple of years ago. You can see there's beets, peas, beans, carrots, potatoes, zucchini, and there was so much more. It's a great harvest. So begin harvesting early in the season. Start harvesting in late June and July. You can do zucchini. Young tender zucchini are great in so many recipes. Shallots, you can dry out or ripen for best harvest when greens begin to die off. The scapes, the hardneck garlic stems provide a scape. If you look at the bottom right picture, that's the curled part of the stem once it starts to want to produce a flower, but you can cut those off and they're a delicacy. They're great. They can be pickled or sauteed in butter. Radishes, you can get several crops of these spicy treats. They are a 28-day crop. I put seeds for my last harvest in about 3 days ago. Lettuce, use outside leaves on leaf type lettuce, another easy, quick crop. There's herbs. You can use the leaves on many herbs to keep them producing. Harvest early in the day and do not wash them. This removes many of the oils and the flavor. With green onions, you can harvest onions anytime. You can leave a few to get bigger, but as they're growing, you can pull them out and use as green onions. Cherry tomatoes, they're a great snack in salads or on shish kebabs. And then rhubarb, the stems should be twisted off at the base so the plant produces more stems, and you want to leave at least 2 stems on the plant for the plant health. By the end of July, you should stop harvesting and save the plant's energy for next year. And then harvesting berries. Berries should be harvested in the morning before the sun heats the fruit. They are sweetest at this time with firm fruit. Blueberries and raspberries do not ripen after being picked, so only pick the ripe fruit. Choose the plumpest, softest berries with dark color. Raspberries should be pulled away easily when ripe, and blueberries should roll off easily. Strawberries should be fully red. Cut the stem or you could damage the plant. You don't want to pull and tug the plant. Rinse them gently and allow them to dry. Refrigerate your berries. They will stay good for about 3 days. Use your berries fresh in desserts or salads, or bake them, freeze them, make smoothies or preserves. Berries can also be dehydrated. There are several recipes online. And then harvesting herbs. You can see the top left picture was harvested about 3 weeks ago. And then 3 weeks later at the bottom left, you can see I harvest about 1/3 of the plant. Top left is the small bunches that I cut off for drying. And then at the bottom, you want to hang them to dry for at least 2 weeks. And then harvest frequently to use fresh or dry the extra herbs for storing. Saving seeds. Heirloom seeds, true to original character. These seeds can be saved and shared with no concern of cross-pollination. Open pollination. Seeds are pollinated by insects, birds, or wind. And then hybrid seeds. They're cross-pollinated and the seeds are not usually viable. And if you do plant them, you don't usually get a produce that's true to character. So top left, the poppy pods are not yet ready. Pods will dry, heads will curl, and the seeds will rattle. The columbine seed, you can see where the pod has dried on the plant. And then at the bottom left, I have the columbine plant marked with the tag to remember the color for seed saving. Top left over here, I have pods dried on the pea pods dried on the vine to save for seeds. In the middle here, lettuce is going to seed on the plant. And then the bottom, lettuce seeds shaken out of the seed heads to dry. So when lettuce goes to seed, just put it in a colander and shake it through and you'll get mostly seeds, and then you can clean it up from there. Seed saving tips. Save seeds from self-pollinating or open pollinating plants. Save seeds from your best plants. The healthiest plants give the best seeds. Don't bother saving from hybrid varieties. These create undesirable plants. When your favorite lettuce bolts, it's not all lost. You can save the seeds. Beans, peas, lettuce, and tomatoes are the easiest seeds to save. They're from self-pollinating plants. Seeds are not all viable until fully ripe. Peas and beans with the most seeds should ripen on the plant. So when you're leaving those peas and beans on the plant, you want that pod to be just about completely dry, and you can pull it off and let them dry a little more on a paper towel or paper plate. You want to make sure any seeds you want to save are completely dry because moisture in them can cause mold. Proper storage is essential. Paper envelopes stored in mason jars in a cool, dark place. These seeds should remain viable for at least a few years, maybe decades. Mark your seed packets with date, color, variety name, and helpful notes. And then some seeds need to freeze to be viable, like columbines. You want to check the internet to see how your seeds should be stored for your particular variety. Storing your harvest. Root vegetables store well in damp sand. These times depend on the variety. So beets can store 4 to 6 months, carrots 7 to 9 months, onions 1 to 6 months, and potatoes 5 to 10 months. Again, this depends on the variety of those root crop. Peas, carrots, and beans can be dried for use in soups or stews, or can be frozen. Onions, garlic, and shallots can be braided. This will help to extend the storage time. So at the top left here, you can, or top right, you can see where the garlic has been braided. Below that, the onions are braided. That really does help to allow them to dry. At the bottom, you have your potatoes here. You want to leave the dirt on them. You don't want to wash them before storage. Just store them the way you see them. Here are the beets where you've cut off the greens and you've got them in the sand. And then carrots, the same thing. You cut off the foliage and store them in the sand. And then on the left, you can see where peas, beans, and carrots are being dehydrated. Enjoying fresh vegetables. Tips for harvesting vegetables. Bigger is not always better. So many vegetables are tender and flavorful when still immature, like zucchini, cucumbers, salad greens, peas, beet greens, and more are delicious when picked a little early. Be sure to ripen as much as possible before harvest: tomatoes, broccoli, Brussels sprouts, cabbage, and more. And stay out of the garden when it's wet. You can easily spread disease to crops like squash, beans, and tomatoes, cucumbers, and more. So if you have sooty mildew or another disease on plants, if you walk through there when it's wet, you take the chance of spreading that through your garden. Harvest often. Frequent harvest will encourage higher yield. Some plants like asparagus will grow so quickly that you may miss peak readiness if you wait even 1 day too long. And don't break plants. Use tools to cut, snip, and dig. Pulling the plant to harvest the fruit in some cases, like tomatoes, can damage the plant. Be careful with freshly harvested crops. Some vegetables are tender until their skins harden, like potatoes. And then here's some harvesting supplies available at Alaska Mill and Feed. We have berry pickers, garden twine, canning jars, snipping tools, garden shovel, burlap bags, rubber tubs. We have a fermentation crock kit. We have the Gamma seal lids, and of course, pruners. So thank you for attending the harvesting class. We hope you've enjoyed this, and we look forward to seeing you at Alaska Mill and Feed. Thank you.